What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel.
Hey guys, welcome back.
I'm Phil.
I'm Sam.
And we got Katt Williams on Kevin Hart today. This has been blowing up all over YouTube.
Yes.
And Katt Williams is basically going in on a bunch of the comedians that have been prevalent for the past couple of decades. Obviously, he's been a big part of that too.
Oh, he's been huge.
Katt Williams is Money Mike in the Friday After Next, I believe is the title, because you got Friday and the Friday After Next, right? And he's, I think, was a part of the Boondock Saints.
Yes, he was.
As well.
Yep.
And has done his...
What's the stand-up?
Stand-up, yeah. And we haven't actually got into any of his stand-up.
No.
I think he's only been mentioned a couple of times, too, in the comments, and that's why we haven't got to his videos yet. But if you guys have suggestions for Katt Williams stand-up routines that we should check out, let us know by dropping it in the comments below. And we've got lots of comedy on the channel. We've got probably about 100 videos of comedians or forms of sketches. Yeah, we've got tons of different ones. So we love checking out comedy, but I wanted to see what was going on with this video, because apparently he's going in
some drama
on everybody, and in particular he's going in on Kevin Hart in this one. And Kevin Hart is, probably one of the more popular comedians out right now.
Usually I like him, so I'm interested to see what he has to say.
Yeah, I mean, can't say I've seen any of his stand-up really, but
we watched one of his stand-up specials back during the pandemic.
Did we?
Yeah.
Can't really remember.
Laugh at My Pain or something like that.
Okay. But mostly I've seen his movies. Anyways, I'm interested to see what's going to go on here. This is with the Club Shay Shay podcast. Shannon Sharp. He just left ESPN and started his own thing. And
cool.
I think he's gained like millions and millions of subs off this interview alone. So
damn.
Yeah, and this is 2.5 hours, I think. And this is only a 16 minute clip that we're getting into. Anyways, enough with the chit chat. Let's find out what's going to go on with Katt Williams, Kevin Hart. You ready?
I'm ready.
Years in Hollywood, no one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show, there being a line for him ever getting a standing ovation at any comedy club. He already had his deals when he got here. Have we heard of a comedian that came to LA and in his first year in LA, he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? No, we've never heard of that before that person or since that person. What do you think a plant is? Maybe people don't understand the definitions of these words.
Kevin Hart.
He just did his documentary with Chris Rock where he shows you that his whole upbringing in comedy was on the East Coast.
Yeah, it was.
So how simultaneously was he here in Los Angeles doing the same thing? It didn't happen. It didn't happen. And I hate to seem like a petty individual for picking apart lies, but Jussie Smollett gonna keep lying until you say we don't believe you. Like, it's important in the checks and balances of the universe that liars not get to make complete narratives for themselves.
Are you not afraid about being blackballed again? These are some power people.
What do you mean again? These people are not powerful. Satan can't create anything. That includes blessings for his people. That's why, you know what the #1 job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is?
What?
Is to act like it didn't happen. They all do the same job. Why do you think Gary Owen can't cross over and he already white and been in comedy for 25 years? If what I say ain't the case. It's a cabal. It's a consortium.
Wow.
They rock with who?
He's going in. He's basically saying they're all Illuminati.
Oh my God.
Wow. And it looks like his medallion there says F woke. I think that's what it says.
Does it? I thought it says woke K.
What?
Woke K?
I think that's an F at the top. I don't know. Anyways.
I don't know.
who knows what that says? But besides the point, he's clearly not holding back at all.
Like no F's to give.
He's making some valid points, though. I mean, like if somebody's on the East Coast or the West Coast and they've said that they grew up there, how all of a sudden do you have so many connections on the other side of the world? And it is kind of a valid point that made me think for a second, in that I didn't know. I mean, not that I've been up to date on all pop culture to begin with, but Kevin Hart kind of just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, he did.
It wasn't like some of these other guys that have been on the grind. I think that's what he's getting at, like working. I feel
like he just like was randomly in popular movies and that was it.
That's
like,
what, yeah. That's what I mean. He just kind of had his movie break and became famous, basically, and probably one of the more famous people now. Like if you say the name Kevin Hart to some random person on the street, they're probably going to know
who he is.
But, there's a lot of people that I think he's saying have been grinding away for a long time that don't have nearly as much notoriety. Now, the question is that from your talent? Because, you just have a funny personality and you've made the right connections, because that's entirely possible for you to blow up in an instant, especially in today's world, right?
Yeah.
So let's find out where he's going to go with it.
Yeah.
Who they rock with and they don't with who they don't. But I'm not scared of being the competition any more than you were when you lined up across from a superior team. Yeah, on paper, they're a better team.
Right.
They have all the assets and resources and we don't. But let us get on the line, boy, and see if that factors in. I guarantee you it won't.
Wow.
Because Shannon Sharp got to be a different person than that other person.
Absolutely.
And he always was. That doesn't change when I change teams. That remains the same. That's how a legacy is built. So all of these shortcut takers, they canceled me for talking about Harvey Weinstein before the thing came out, but he offered to suck my penis in front of all my people at my agency. Whew. What am I supposed to do? He did all of that. I'm thinking I'm the only black person on the script. I get there, there's 3 other black guys on there. Woo. Huh.
So you wonder what they did to get there.
I told him no. What y'all do? And this is why when I walk in a room, heads go down. Behind my back, I'm nothing. I'm just a regular old comedian that's bitter and jealous. But in my face, no. The king has walked in and they have to respect it only because I've not taken the shortcuts. I've not been funded. They pay you to not talk about things they don't want you to talk about. They tell you that themselves. I can't do that because Steve told you that he stopped doing stand-up because he had 7 TV shows. The only problem is when he stopped stand-up, he didn't have those 7 TV shows. He stopped stand-up.
So I think he's talking about Steve Harvey there.
Okay.
He said Steve, right? And I think I remember seeing that he made mention of Steve Harvey.
Yeah, I thought about that because he has like Family Feud and like all these TV shows, right? So,
yeah. So I think that's one of the comedians that he discussed was Steve Harvey.
Okay.
Told you that he stopped doing stand-up because he had 7 TV shows. The only problem is when he stopped stand-up, he didn't have those 7 TV shows. He stopped stand-up because he got in a comedy battle called the Championship of Stand-Up Comedy with one Katt Williams in Detroit in front of 10,000 people and lost because Katt Williams said he was actually bald and that was a wig. And I went in and that's why he couldn't do stand-up anymore. Imagine him coming to tell you another story where he got so big and it was Bernie and them's fault because they wanted to be movie stars. What? You called Ocean 11 to get...
So they got... Sorry to keep pausing it, but... So I think he's talking about Bernie Mac now.
Okay.
Do you know who that is? Yeah. And then the Steve Harvey thing about the hair. I thought his hair was legit, man. Until I saw a clip on, like, I don't know where it was, Instagram or something like that, from all the stuff that's been going on.
Yeah.
And basically, it was somebody making a joke about how we all thought that Steve Harvey's hairline was legit.
Yeah.
And all this time, it was like, damn, we all want a hairline like Steve Harvey. And then we come to find out it's all...
He's bald.
Whatever you call it, toupee or whatever it is. It was just a plant. So...
Oh my God.
And I didn't know this whole time though. You think that would have been more popular knowledge. Maybe it is, and I just didn't know. But.
When I think of him as bald.
Do you?
Yeah.
No, I just remember him having this like perfect, squared off. Anyways.
Maybe I just like didn't really know who he was back then.
So anyway, so he's talking about Steve Harvey. That's what he's referring to with the hair and the hair piece and all that. Then I think we got Bernie Mac. So there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
And it was Bernie and them's fault because they wanted to be movie stars. What? You called Ocean 11 to get that nigga's part. What do you mean you didn't want to be a movie star? So on the behalf of Bernie, I would have to say what I have to say.
Have you ever been on tour with any of these guys?
Every guy I mentioned to you is not funny out there in real life. So no. Faison's never done his own tour in 30 years. Steve Harvey don't do stand-up no more. Cedric doesn't write. I'm sorry, he doesn't write. Ricky Smiley has been playing the same old black woman forever. Like, you can't get a young fan base with that. Like, you gotta be doing karaoke around the country to make that work.
Right.
And he is. But I'm a stand-up comedian. This is my 19th 100-city tour.
Wow.
I'm not gonna have a conversation with these lazy bums that'll take a shortcut at any point. Yes, it's easier for you to juice than to get in the gym. But you don't get to bring that body in here talking crazy.
Talk about how good you look.
What? No, there's too many comics out there that are putting their life on the line to tell these jokes, man.
Okay.
So that's what we were saying about Kevin Hart. That's exactly what we were talking about, is that I was saying I think he's referring to the people who haven't done the work, haven't done the grind, and that's what he's saying, is that, like, no, I've done the work, so I can say what I'm saying. And it's funny that he mentioned the juicing thing, right? Because one thing that really pisses me off about people that work out is, like, you know, the comments of, oh, you know, you should listen to me because look at the way I look, right? Just because you took some sauce.
Or getting some surgery done.
Right. Then that hasn't equated to the work that you've put in. 100%. So you don't necessarily know as much as somebody that has done all the work, right? And what it takes to get to that point. Yeah. And they can provide you with better insights because they've actually grinded rather than, you know, juicing to get yourself
taking
to
all
that
the shortcuts.
Point. Exactly.
Yeah.
Get to your upbringing. We're going to circle back and we'll get some,
I want to protect him real quick because you had said for the Kings of Comedy, it was in 2018, 2019, but did you mean 1999? Because it came out in 2000, so I just want to make sure.
No, I didn't. No. So what I meant to say was, remember, he said I couldn't do stand-up anymore. I had 7 TV shows. I said he didn't have any of those TV shows at the time.
I know you talking about Cedric.
Joke stealing from Cedric.
Cedric.
Okay,
so you had said that 2018, 2019, but it came out in 2000, so I just want to make sure.
Okay, no. What comes out in 2000?
The original Kings of Comedy.
Right. I'm on BET's Comic View, and they're using this as the commercial in 1998. Okay. That's why I'm saying, So if I said the dates wrong, So
let's go back and clear that up.
Okay.
You said, I had Cedric on here, and I asked him about the joke stealing, and he said the timeline doesn't add up.
Correct.
To that point, you say.
Right. So he thought that I was just a no-name comedian and that he could take this joke and nobody would know.
Right.
The issue was that I had already done this particular joke on BET's Comic View twice.
Right.
It had done so well on BET's Comic View that they had made it part of the commercial. So part of the commercial of make sure you tune in to BET was you seeing me doing this joke.
Right.
And this joke is one of those jokes in comedy where you set it up and it takes a little longer to set it up, takes about 3 minutes, but then you're just hitting them with jokes after that because you don't have to set it up.
Right.
Mark Curry had already helped me work on this joke because I thought it was good because I was getting a standing ovation on it. He had me go back in the lab and help me craft it to be an even more powerful joke. So this is not just a random joke. This is my very best joke, and it's my last joke, and it's my closing joke.
Okay.
1998.
Great explanation.
I'm doing this joke. It's on Comic View. Cedric comes to the Comedy Store. He watches me in the audience. He comes backstage. He tells me what a great job I did and how much he loves the joke. 2 years later, he's doing that as his last joke on the Kings of Comedy.
Wow.
And he's doing it verbatim. He's just changed my car into a spaceship. Him and Steve had already apologized for me, so I gave him a pass for a decade. Why would you sit here and be like, I saw Katt 30 times, and Katt didn't do, as I stand before you, Shannon. I would have bust Cedric's stomach. There was nothing that would have kept me from one of these in that patch right there. Like, are you kidding me? Why would you downplay me like that?
He likes
Why
the demonstration.
would I give you a pass if you were just gonna lie? And so that's what I'm saying. Like, they're all a group. Cedric, Steve, Ricky, they've been a group. Everybody knows that. They've been aligned. And there are these alliances in comedy. And if you stand against them, then they sometimes have a problem. But we don't let that change the content, because that's all you know me for, is that I'm quite likely to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. That's what these comics understand, is that I'm not doing nothing for clout. I don't even recognize clout. But eventually the Lord is gonna let me and you be in one hallway. A lot of these dudes go, Kevin Hart done went 25 years without ever being in the same building with me at the same time. If I go in the building, he walk out. You've never seen us in the same building ever in 25 years. Like, it's like that. Why? Why?
Yes.
Because I'm really the product. It's not what you think. I am never under the influence of anything. I'm always in my right mind. I'm always a physical specimen. And when you see me, I'm much, much bigger than you had thought. I have far less play in me than you would like. And I'm relentless. I'm out there. I'm still, to this day, I play 11 games of basketball with a 20-year-old. The record is 92-6.
I don't know where we're going now. He seems to be capping a little bit. You know, he's going to punch Cedric in the gut.
He likes his like stand-up definitions. They're like, let's get on the line. I would just smack him in the gut.
I don't know how big he is in person. I've never thought he's been a big guy. Katt Williams always seemed like he was a little smaller dude.
I thought that too.
So, I mean, it's hard to tell sitting next to Shannon, because Shannon Sharp's a big boy.
Yeah.
He still looks great as well. I think he's got to be in his 50s, and he's...
Really?
Oh, yeah. He's a specimen. He was a specimen when he played. He played tight end for the Broncos.
I would not think he was that old at all.
No, he's got it locked down. He still works hard too. Whether he's got a little added, hormones in there at his age is another thing. But nonetheless, he looks fantastic. Anyways,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's kind of this interview's been interesting. I like the fact that he's kind of no holds barred and saying what he feels and how he thinks. And clearly, he's probably been that way for most of his life.
Yeah.
And he's not worried about pissing anybody off, and he's not worried about all these people that are maybe aligned and have, like he said, financing and funding to allow them to say all the things that, they've been saying or stepping on people or whatever. And he's kind of taking the approach of like, that's not going to be me. But we also, I feel like, are going in a lot of different directions, and he's a little bit all over the place.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's just got a lot to say.
Yeah.
A lot to
maybe.
get off his chest.
Especially if he talked for 2 hours.
2.5, I think.
I think part of it too is that he was talking about stuff and then they were about to go somewhere else, but then they got pulled back because they wanted to clarify that story. So I think that's also maybe why it seems like a little bit back and forth too.
Yeah. Any thoughts that you got on Katt so far? I've been telling you what I think, but what about you?
I think that obviously he doesn't hold back, and that's good for him, right? Like, you need people like that because, these days you never know what's staged and what's not, and what's real and what's not. Mm-hmm. But the same could be said is that he's here saying that he tells the whole truth, nothing but the truth, but it's like, well, who's going to vet that, right? So
yeah, I think
there's always, two sides to every story.
I think what I've heard, though, is that nobody's really been able to say anything he has said on this being false, other than maybe some of his physical attributes that he was just talking about. I think I heard somebody else say that he said he could run a 40-yard dash and like something ridiculous, and people were like, I believe everything he said, just not that. But I think the things that he's referencing with the other comedians and stuff, there's been nobody able to call him out on that and say that's wrong.
So none of these comedians that he's calling out have responded.
I think they have, but I haven't seen it.
True.
So I'm not sure.
Interesting. Well, maybe we'll have to do that next.
This is just in the yard, just to the rack, just because.
You work out, Cat? You work out, Cat?
Not to the gym.
You don't work out in the gym? You do push-ups, sit-ups?
My whole life it was just push-ups and sit-ups only. I would do like 100 push-ups a day. Just.
I thought you were gonna say 1,000.
No, because this is literally every day.
Right.
This is not for the gram. You know what I mean? Like literally 100 a day. And I would do push-ups, and then I tore both my rotator cuffs. And so it was only thanks to golf that I was even able to get my
You a golfer now?
back. I've been a golfer for quite some time. My short game is impeccable. I can't get you but 2 and some change off of the
tee.
Off the tee, but I'm still coming in for par guaranteed.
You playing for the tips?
No. I've found that you don't get anything for that. It seems very egomaniacal. They go, hey, Cat, for free, you can go further back. Hey, what? Wait a minute, does it still count the same? Hey, I'm up at the ladies' tee. Don't tell me my pronouns.
Golfing, so I have no
On the
idea.
golf course, I'm she, her, him, them, and they. Whoever at the front tee. For a 5-year period, every single movie that Kevin Hart did was a movie that had been on my desk, that all I had said was, just, can we take some of this step and fetch it shit out? And then I can do it. Like, it don't need to be overtly homosexual, because I'm not homosexual, right? It doesn't need that to be funny, right? Mm-hmm. And me saying that and them going, oh yeah, no problem. And then going to give it to this other guy and having him do it just like it was. And acting like I'm a bad person because I keep standing on my standard. But, yeah, it's interesting, but I wouldn't change it for the world. Like, again, I'm on the winning side of these decisions.
Will there ever be another Comic View, Def Comedy Jam? Could that, in today, in 24, 25, 26, could we see that again?
They've already announced it. It's already going. You didn't know? Mm-mm. Yeah, Kevin Hart purchased it, so he's now doing Comic View. That happened at the same time that they gave DC Young Fly Hollywood Squares. Where? Yeah, because they tell you that there's no gatekeepers, but we keep seeing the same people open the gate. Didn't Kevin open the gate and let Tiffany in? Ain't he now opening it up for... Don't such and such open the gate? What do you mean ain't no gatekeepers? There's 100 gates out here.
Would you
everyone I've seen got a keeper.
Would you have wanted to do Comic View or Def Comedy Jam? Would you have wanted to be?
I think we just mentioned I did them both.
No, I'm saying he purchased the rights and refranchise it.
Nope. They didn't offer it to me anyway. Like, Comic View did a couple disservices to comedy as well. Mm-hmm. So there were people like me that were out there getting 2 and 3 standing ovations in one set. And that wasn't good for television. So what they did was they started making everybody get a standing ovation. So they would tell the audience, when they get off stage, everybody get up and cheer. And so now the fact that I'm the only one out there going to get standing ovations is now making people think everybody get a standing ovation. And that's not how comedy is. So I understood why that couldn't go anymore, because remember, Ricky Smiley sat right here and told you a story about how he performed with Mike Epps and Katt Williams when he did Comic View, and to let him tell it, he was funnier than both. My name Lil Dow. You're talking about the...
You know, it's one thing, interesting talking about the gatekeepers aspect, because on the one hand, I totally agree that, people get power, control, they have money, as we said, and they can dictate the results that are going to be available for everybody and who's going to get in a certain place or who has the opportunity and that network and all that. But at the same time, it's like if I was to put myself in that situation and I became somebody with a lot of influence in that, comedy or whatever, and I had buddies or people I knew that were working hard on the come up, and I wanted to help them out and give them an opportunity. Clearly, I'm going to give them an opportunity, right? I'm going to help the people out that I think deserve an opportunity, but it's going to only be in my circle, right? Because I'm not going to be like putting up a job ad or asking people like, do you want help type thing. It's going to be the people that I already know in my circle that I'm going to try to help, because I now have the controls to do that. So I think it can go both ways, but you have to also put yourself in that situation to say, what would I do?
Yeah, for sure. I think I don't know, maybe I just misunderstood it, but I took it as like he was saying that these people are like you said, are only, I guess, I don't say hiring or like working with people that are in their circle, which means that like other people don't get opportunities. And like that's a bad thing. Like basically saying that like they're going to have people there that are in their circle that they can control, they can manipulate, and that things are going to go exactly the way that they want them to go. So why would you like go and take somebody like him, who in, the mind of the gatekeeper would be that he's kind of a loose ball and they can't control him, they can't predict what's going to go on with him. So like that's why he's never getting the opportunities.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that in any way. I think that's accurate. I'm just saying that there's another side to this story in that, yeah, that's one way it could go, but the other way it could go is just that people get into those positions, and the reason why they're helping out particular people is because they're affiliated with those people, because they know them. Yeah. So I agree, most circumstances there's usually a nefarious means at play that is not always great, and I think he's highlighting that throughout this interview. Yeah. But I'm just saying that I'm playing devil's advocate to what he's saying to offer a different insight.
Just so I understand, you're saying that the reason why they do it is not for a nefarious purpose. It's just because it's somebody they know and they trust, and like they're giving the opportunity to somebody who's already in their circle from a positive perspective.
Yeah. If you have, like if you have investors or people that, like I said, if I started a business up and I'm like, who do I want to help out, or who do I want to provide an opportunity to, or who do I trust? All of those are going to be people that I'm going to know.
Yeah, then that's fair.
I'm not saying that that's exactly what happened. I'm just offering a different point of view. Yeah.
Yeah.
Special needs. That's good.
That's a different time.
That's some clever material.
That was a different time, Katt.
No, it wasn't. It was the time I was there.
But I'm saying
that time, this time, same times.
No, but I'm saying
just like people that tell you the Egyptians, they not black. Egypt is in Africa, folks. Yeah. As long as Egypt is in Africa, then Egyptians are African.
Do you believe you could tell the same jokes today as when you started out? I mean, Eddie Murphy not telling those jokes. Richard Pryor wouldn't be able to tell those jokes in 2024 that they told in the 70s and the 80s.
So they wouldn't have told them.
But that's my point.
They're not inferior people.
No.
If they were in this time, they would be going according to our time. Just like then, we were going according to that. Like, that's how it is in the world. There are words that we can use for a while. And when we use them for a while until somebody says, that ain't a good word, we should stop saying that.
Correct.
That don't make people feel good. And we stop saying the word. And we move on to another word. You can't say the R word. You can certainly say special needs.
Yeah.
You can certainly say spectrum.
Be slow.
There are things that you can say to get your point that don't have to hurt people.
Right.
But you would know that if what you did was construct the English language for a living, then you would understand that part. Kevin told you he wasn't going to wear no dress until they offered him the dress, and then he put it on. And what did he say after he wore it? I made my own decision. Duh. But you didn't make it before they brought it up, did you? It's okay.
So there's definitely some shots in there, and it was definitely on Kevin Hart, but I think the title was a little bit misleading because there was a whole lot of other stuff in there. Yeah. And as I said, the conversation kind of went to, so many different paths that it was hard to keep track of everything that was going on. And I guess, taking off these bite-sized chunks of the interview, you're going to get that. It was still, pretty interesting and unexpected to see how upfront he was in his feelings about Kevin Hart.
Yeah, and I think like you said, right, like it was, the whole thing wasn't about Kevin Hart, but a lot of it I think was just like the industry as a whole, and like the themes that he's talking about Kevin Hart are kind of like similar with other people as well.
Yeah.
Just talking about like the industry having this manipulation as like a whole.
Yeah. And maybe, you know, being one of the first in potentially a line of people that may come out and start speaking of these things, because you hear this, not only this is the comedy side of things, right, but we hear some similar stories in Hollywood.
Yes.
Right, where people that don't fall in line get blacklisted. We even saw that with the pandemic in certain respects.
Yep.
So he might be speaking out about things that he's now seen and experienced that nobody else is speaking out about, and there may be more people that are going to start to speak out as well because he's doing that. And
It usually only takes one to get the...
Yeah, and I don't doubt that there are shady practices that happen behind closed doors and weird stuff. Like we've heard some things about, you know, celebrities that just blow my mind. And you're like, what is going on? So I have no doubt there is a lot of truth to what he's saying. But as you alluded to, you know, it's probably going to take some time and people speaking out what's not true and what is true and all that before we get to the nitty gritty of it. But I don't know what the rest of the interview is like. What are your thoughts on what we saw?
I mean, like, you never know too, right? Like, I feel like a lot of the times in interviews like this, it's like, you know, there's elements of truth there, but it's dramatized or like embellished a little bit to favor one person, right?
Course.
So it's like,
Truth
who knows?
falls in
Like, he
between.
might be talking about some of this, but also he's talking about himself in a very high regard in a lot of this, right? So it might be like pushed a little bit, right? You know, also people tend to
definitely capping.
Yeah, and like people tend to want to only talk about the negative about the other side of the coin, but like not acknowledge maybe any of the role that they played in any of those situations too, right? So who knows like what's going on with that. I personally can't stop looking at his Fendi collar because that's just like in my face the whole time. Like he's just like a very out there person, I feel like. You know, and I feel like, you know, just a prime example, right? Like he's this whole time being like, oh, I don't do it for the clout. I don't do it for the clout, blah, blah, blah. But it's like you're sitting here with like designer clothes on and this giant medallion and whatever. So like obviously you're not a low key individual.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like that in itself is a little bit of a, you know, contradictory situation. So I'm not saying he's like not telling the truth. I'm just saying like I feel like I would take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I mean, I think though the difference in light of that is, you know, he's saying he's not out here speaking about these things or acting a certain way in regards to the comedy scene and the people he associates with because he's chasing clout and he wants it that bad. I think he's, you know, it maybe doesn't necessarily reference his personality or his clothes that he's wearing.
Yeah.
I think it might be just the specific situation that he's referring to, is that he's not going to go and put himself in a compromising situation just to go and get more clout, whereas other people that he's been referencing in this conversation will be willing to do that. So he's going to, as he said, stand on his standards, right? Because they're more important than the clout that you're referring to, but maybe image-wise that doesn't apply.
Yeah.
So
because I mean, it seems like he's very
he's clearly a very
full of himself.
Yeah, he's clearly likes who he is. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, that's it from us today. We're going to wrap it up now. Make sure you hit the like button for us. Leave us a comment. Give us some insights on this. We're new to Katt Williams and this whole ordeal.
Definitely
let us know if you
open
want.
my eyes a little bit.
Yeah. Let us know if you want us to react to any other particular clips from this podcast. If you've stuck around this long, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you come back soon and check out our next one.
Thanks for watching, guys. See you then.